I suspect that you'd be shocked and amazed how little legal input Congress got on this. They know there's I would tell you, they know there's a debate here, but they've chosen to go down a particular path. I read the quote to you from the Congressional Budget Office in their thing back to them. They said, I just want to make sure you understand this is unprecedented for the federal government to force somebody to buy a product or service.
How can you sit there and answer that question and though invoke Harry Reid and Ben Nelson and say that it's not political and expect us to?
Because that is blatantly unconstitutional what they did, and they know that. They want it out of their. The fact of the matter is that whether it's I'm sorry that it's a Democrat that did it, but it's a Democrat that did it, and they went off and bought a vote and said we're going to take the citizens of Nebraska out from a tax liability that all the rest of the states are going to have to pay. You say that's political. I say that's a blatant violation of the United States Constitution.
Yeah, but could you sever that from all the rest? I mean, they throw that out.
Yeah, that's not going to be part of the reconciled bill, I don't believe.
And I'm not talking about the whole bill. I'm not going to argue about the whole bill. I'm just talking about our legal analysis of one aspect of this thing is that it's an unprecedented expansion of the Commerce Clause and could have incredible ramifications for the future of this country.
So what's the solution then? You're asking it to be taken out of the language of the bill?
We're asking to remove the individual insurance mandate, which I suspect is a pretty important part of the bill. I don't know that for a fact, but I assume that that's, expanding the pool is a big part of this. And we all want everybody to have insurance, but the notion of the federal government forcing you to buy a particular product or service, given what the previous understanding of the Commerce Clause has been, is a pretty scary notion. Yeah.
And earlier you were saying that you thought it would be desirable if more people had insurance.
Absolutely. I'd love to have everybody to be insured.
Realistically though, how could that, do you think it would be possible to do that and really increase the number without forcing people, without a mandate? Is it realistic in the world to?
I'm not sure how realistic it is. The way the federal government does everything else is give incentives. That's why they do everything else. But I think the flaw in this particular mechanism is that they're mandating someone to engage in a commercial activity that they would otherwise choose not to engage in, and then say we're regulating it under the Commerce Clause.
Can I ask, in 1993, the Republican proposal, contrary to Hillary Care proposal, was individual mandates. Was there a problem with that then?
It would have been if it passed. If it read like this, there would have been a problem if it passed.
Okay.
I thought some of the same things that are in this bill were what the Heritage Foundation proposed back then.
If they, I would be very surprised if they proposed a mandate that every individual in this country have to engage in a commercial transaction.
I'm sorry to go back to this, but I'm still somewhat unclear because you keep using the word mandate and how is that different what they're doing here against auto insurance? And again, I apologize.
Ma'am, I'm sorry you don't understand, but Congress only exercises the power that is given to them in the document, the Constitution, okay? And there's a list of things that Congress can do. And Article 10 says anything that we haven't empowered you to do here, you can't do. It's left to the states and individuals. The Colorado Constitution doesn't have a list of enumerated powers. It has a Bill of Rights that restricts certain things. So there's certain things that the governor of Colorado could attempt to do that the courts would say, no, you can't do that. But buying insurance is, you don't have a right to have the state not compel you to buy insurance. I'm telling you, you do have a right to have the federal government not to tell you to buy a particular product or service. And then I go back to the second part of mandated insurance in Colorado is it's an exchange for privilege. You get ordered to pay only liability insurance. You don't have to pay for your own coverage and stuff. You have to pay liability insurance as a condition of the privilege of driving a vehicle. You can choose not to drive a vehicle. You have to get a driver's license if you choose to drive a vehicle. You can choose not to drive a vehicle. Here, the federal government, you choose to sit in your house and not do anything. You know, I'm not, I don't want to engage in this sort of commercial activity or not brought by this product or buy this product. The federal government is saying because you live in this country, you are mandated to buy health insurance. There is no analogy.
Attorney General Suthers, is just a matter of legal strategy. Where do you think Justice Kennedy is going to sit?
I have no idea. My guess is there'll be justices on both sides of this issue. And this issue is going to be resolved by the courts. There's no question about it. I just want to, you know, I think, what I'm saying today by saying I'm going to participate is I think it has serious, serious ramifications for states' rights and individual freedoms. One last question.
Are there any other aspects of the bill that you would consider unconstitutional that might be the subject of future study?
Closely related is the actual penalty itself. As you know, what happens if you don't buy insurance, you either pay a penalty or an additional tax. $750 or 2.5% of your income, whichever is greater, or something like that. And let me just put some notes here. The suit will allege that this tax is a capitation or direct tax that is not apportioned evenly among the states and is therefore constitutional, as is constitutionally required. You know, it's essentially, what the note here says, the individual mandate levies a fixed per person tax directly on uninsured citizens unrelated to any taxable event or activity. Typically, you're taxed as a result of a commercial activity you engage in. This is taxing you for not engaging in a commercial activity. Thank you very much. I appreciate your interest. Mike has passed out various things.
Yeah, on your way out, guys,